things set up. Okay, is that all? Almost. Okay, there we go. I used to play this game all the time, but I never finished it, and I got a new computer, so it restarted, and it's been forever, so I decided we're just gonna restart it. Okay. Aspen Draper was probably one of the last people to see the elderly Miss Lay still alive, and she was definitely the first person to see her. I can't read. And she was definitely the first person to see her after she had died. Miss Lay had lived next door to Aspen for as long as the teenage girl could remember, in her semi-detached house on Paradise Road. Paradise Road, despite its grandiose name, didn't live up to expectations. It was like any other street in Scarborough. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Really. Gray, cramped, and gently sloping down the side of a shallow hill. The pavement was usually littered with takeaway cartons from kebab houses. The bins never seemed to get emptied on time, no matter how often Aspen's mother complained to the local council. And at night, Aspen could often hear stray cats fighting, or worse, mating, outside her window. Hi, Kaliasi. Good afternoon. How are you doing? Despite the street's numerous flaws, however, Miss Lay had lived there for almost all her life, or ever since I got married to Ivor, as she herself put it. Aspen had lived in Paradise Road all her life, too, and though she'd met Miss Lay on many occasions, she'd never had the pleasure of speaking to her husband. Ivor had died before Aspen had been born. Miss Lay was old, though Aspen didn't know quite how old. Aspen presumed the woman must have been in her 70s or 80s, maybe even 90s, but it seemed rude to ask. The elderly Miss Lay was a mysterious creature with no fixed age. She had looked much the same to Aspen when she was 6 and when she was 16. She is so mean. I will warn you, she is so mean to this old lady for no reason. If Miss Lay had changed at all over the decade, Aspen couldn't tell. Miss Lay exuded a constant aura of virility and elderliness, an aura which was further compounded by her penchant for closing her blue, rheumy eyes and mumbling, "Back in my day." Aspen didn't know when exactly Miss Lay's day had been, but it must have been years and years ago. Why is she so mean to this old lady? Decades, even. It was certainly long before Aspen had been born, and it might have been before her parents had been born, too. Can you shut up? Can you stop being mean to this old woman? Miss Lay didn't seem to have any friends or family. Though Aspen had lived next to Miss Lay for 16, bordering on 17 years, she rarely saw cars that weren't Miss Lay's old, unused Nissan parked in the driveway. The car had probably belonged to Ivor when he was still alive. Maybe that was why Miss Lay never touched it. Could she even drive? Can you stop being mean to this old woman for 1 minute? The old woman seemed so very frail, with her slender wrist and her slow, shuffling gait, that Aspen doubted it. Aspen had never seen any children, grandchildren, nieces or nephew grace the doorstep of Miss Lay's home. I wonder why that is. It was just Miss Lay, and occasionally the woman from the council called Rebecca. But call me Bex, who came around a few times a week to buy Miss Lay's groceries and clean her kitchen. Thinking about it, Rebecca should have been the one to discover Miss Lay's body first. Surely that was her job. Rebecca was employed, not only to aid the elderly woman in her twilight years. Damn, ever heard of respecting elderly? For real, for real! What did she do to you? But to save any poor, wide-eyed, nail-biting neighborhood girls from stumbling upon Miss Lay's corpse during the winter months. I should mention also, Miss Lay is dead. She's not just being mean to an old woman, she's being mean to an old dead woman. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Rebecca hadn't shown up on that particular Sunday. Sunday was her day off. And it had been Aspen who had found the body, not Rebecca. That's just how life goes. That's traumatizing, and I feel bad for you, but can you also stop being mean to a dead lady? But to arrive at the point of Aspen finding Miss Lay's body, the old woman's eyes rolled up in her head and her mouth twisted from a sudden heart attack. We have to go back. Aspen had spent most of her life ignoring Miss Lay as best she could, though her mother had told her to smile and wave when she saw the old deer pattering around in her garden. Why was she ignoring her? That's what Aspen's mother called Miss Lay, the old dear, and Aspen supposed she was harmless enough. Privately, however, Aspen had always thought Miss Lay was a little creepy. Why? Miss Lay was a small and shrunken creature, like a living specimen pickled in vinegar. Her hair was very thin and white. It was often tied back in a bun that exposed a worrying amount of baby pink scalp. Her fingers, meanwhile, were gnarled like the roots of a tree. Could you stop being mean to an old woman? Miss Lay would sometimes meander around in her front garden when the weather was nice and her joints were up to it. She'd finger over the overgrown cluster of sweet peas and pear trees that were even older and frailer than she was with a satisfied nod, as though the plants in her garden were supposed to be dying. Maybe Miss Lay was so old, her eyesight so poor, she simply couldn't see that her precious roses had been— I feel like I shouldn't be reading this in a normal voice. I feel like this is like a roast session. She simply couldn't see that her precious roses had been half devoured by caterpillars, snapdragons, and marigolds overrun by weeds. Yeah, take that, you old woman. Your flowers are dying. Or maybe she did know, but she knew she was too old to do anything about that. Haha, old woman, you're helpless, and I'm not gonna help you. Miss Lay could hardly don a pair of gardening gloves and kneel down in the dirt at her age, whatever her age was. She'd throw her back out, or dislocate a kneecap, and then she'd never be able to get back up again. You don't know that! Miss Lay seemed perfectly content to meander, nursing a mug of warm tea in her choppy fingers and a thick cardigan thrown over her shoulders. For real, like, what did her grandma do to her? She's not even her grandma. She's just a sweet old lady who lives next door. And a thick cardigan thrown over her shoulders as she admired what had once been a pretty flower garden. When Miss Lay saw— Oh, excuse me. Why do I keep yawning? When Miss Lay saw Aspen, typically on her way back home from primary school or ballet practice, she would smile and say how big she was getting. That's sweet. Aspen, who'd always been shy, would murmur words of thanks at her mother's behest and hurry indoors, where Miss Lay's sad smile couldn't reach her. Well, yeah, she has a sad smile because you're ignoring her like a jerk. For many years, these were the only interactions between them. But that all changed when the Fire Nation attacked. But that changed on Aspen's 13th birthday, when the old woman did something quite surprising. She bought Aspen a present. See, she's nice! Well, bought might have not been the correct word. Miss Lay rarely went 3 paces past the front garden, and she certainly never went to Sainsbury's. That was Rebecca's job. Instead, Miss Lay wrapped up one of her little ornaments up in paper, put it inside a shoebox, and left it— Hey, my little puppy's here. And left it on Draper's doorstep with a card attached. The ornament was small and made of painted ceramic, though most of the paint had flaked away. It depicted a little girl in a leotard and tutu, her hair tied back with a ribbon, standing on point with her arms extended. One of the girl's hands had snapped off. Someone gives you a gift, and your first thought is to criticize it? One of the girl's hands had snapped off, and her nose was broken, but it was a sweet gesture all the same. Aspen's father had been convinced the little ornament was worth a pretty penny, and he took it to an antique shop to be praised, much to his wife's irritation. Not going to sell it, Penny, Mr. Draper had tried to assure his wife. This belongs to Aspen. I just want to satisfy my own curiosity. You never know. Could be something special. Aspen's father, incidentally, worked as a curator at the Scarborough Art Gallery. He spent his days examining works of art, and he had a vested interest in how old, and more importantly, how expensive, little trinkets like Miss Lay's ballerina figure were. Unfortunately, a quick— Why do I keep yawning? A quick trip to the antique shop revealed that the ballerina was almost entirely worthless. But that is neither here nor there. Why are you so mean? The card Miss Lay left Aspen was decorated with an image of a young, rosy-cheeked girl in a pale blue dress, playing with a jump rope. Goomy. I thought that said gloomy, and I was like, this is pretty gloomy. The card was very pastel, almost washed out. It seemed to have come from another era. Maybe the 1960s or 70s. That's sweet. It said, "Oh my Ugh, stop yawning, Rhea! Inside the car, Miss Lay had written in a faint, spidery hand, "Dear Althea." Miss Lay often got Aspen's name wrong. "I hope you like your present. I saw it, and it reminded me of you. I know you practice ballet, and I thought you might get more enjoyment out of it than I do. Love, Marguerite." Hi, Fire! Welcome! We're bullying an old lady. Up until that day, Aspen hadn't known what Miss Lay's first name was. She'd always call her Miss Lay. She'd never even stopped to consider that Miss Lay might have a first name at all. Stop yawning! Jesus. This girl, the main character, has a sweet old lady who lives next door who died, and she's just being mean to her for no reason. It seemed almost inconceivable. Miss Lay's name, Marguerite, didn't really suit her. The name was too light and jaunty. It conjured up images of pretty, dark-haired girls in red, ruffled dresses dancing beneath the moonlight. Not an elderly woman in frumpy clothes, nodding benignly at clusters of worm-eaten primroses. Can you stop being mean? We're bullying an old lady! This is what you come to the channel for, right? Bullying old women? Maybe Miss Lay had been more like a Marguerite in the past. Maybe her white hair had been dark, and she had worn red ruffles, and she had danced the night away. But now she's just an old piece of shit, and I kicked the crap out of her. She didn't say that. She must have been young and vivacious and full of life once upon a time. That's exactly how I feel, Fire. You get it. Maybe it had been Ivor when he was still alive, however long ago that was. But Aspen couldn't imagine. Aspen didn't want to call Miss Lay Marguerite. For some reason, it made her feel sad. Maybe because it's humanizing her? It felt too much like a wasted opportunity. Dude, okay. Pastime that would never ever come back. Alright. Miss Lay was always and would always be Miss Lay to Aspen. The revelation of Miss Lay's full name, however, was not the crucial takeaway from that letter. It was clear that, though Miss Lay and Aspen had only exchanged the briefest of greetings over the last 13 years, Miss Lay had been paying more attention to Aspen than she herself had ever realized. Yeah, because you're too busy being mean. True, she had gotten Aspen's name wrong. Aspen was quite an unusual name, not even in Yorkshire. Or not very Yorkshire. I can't read. I forgot to say, but this game was British. Maybe British people just hate old women. These paragraphs are giving me an aneurysm. Me too, bestie. I'm considering summing it up. It's saying so much nothing. No offense to the creator, not that I think the creator's watching this. But Miss Lay knew enough about Aspen to know she took ballet classes. At least, she had taken ballet classes. Aspen had quit when she started secondary school. I've actually already read this, so I can sum this up. So basically, Aspen is a pushover, and she used to take ballet classes, but she quit because she was getting bullied. But the sweet old lady next to her gave her a ballerine figure because the sweet old woman loved ballet. The sweet old woman gets her name wrong, and instead of Aspen, calls her, what does she call her? She calls her something. I don't remember, but the name is important. She calls her the wrong name. And what else? Aspen's very mean to the old woman. Aspen is a very shy girl, and she visited her neighbor, the old woman, pretty often, and one day found her dead. She had a heart attack, and it was very traumatizing for Aspen. Everyone at school had been asking Aspen, like, hey, what was it like seeing a dead person? And she was like, bro, don't talk to me, that was traumatizing. When everyone was like, I wish I saw a dead person. And sad thing, the day that the old woman had died, Aspen was sitting down at the table, and the woman was making her some snacks in the kitchen, and the woman when she had the heart attack, she didn't make a single noise because she knew Aspen is annoyed of her, so she didn't want to bother Aspen by making noises of pain, so she just silently died of a heart attack. Anyways, I swear this is a British lesbian love novel. We just gotta get past all the sad shit. Oh, and Aspen's shy, barely has any friends except these two, but they're really shitty friends. But what does Pippa sound like? Probably fucking annoying. So, did it really happen next door? That's right. That's where you found her body? Yeah. Ew, No! How creepy. I hate everyone in this game. I hope you know that. I don't like anyone in this game. Pippa glanced about Aspen's bedroom, which was joined, though separated by a lilac wall, who had once been Miss Leigh's home. How does it feel, living next to a place where a body was found? Doesn't feel like anything, really. Pippa, okay, I may hate everyone, but I hate Pippa the most. Miss Leigh is the only good person, and she's dead. It has to feel like something. Doesn't it creep you out? Not particularly. Have you ever heard any strange noises at night? What kind of strange noises? Well, I don't know. Wailing, crying, anything like that? I would do a British accent, but I can't do a British accent. No. Have you ever stepped into any cold patches of air or felt shivers run down your spine? Well, Aspen thought for a moment in a half-hearted attempt to oblige her friend, and shook her head. Wow. Aspen was being fairly reticent, but Pippa looked impressed all the same. She whistled beneath her breath. It's still seriously creepy. I'd be so freaked out if I lived next to a spooky old house like that. Thanks. Spooky. Lucky raised a neatly plucked eyebrow. Oh, also, y'all gotta tell me if I'm crazy on this, but Lockie's character feels a bit racist to me. Like, whenever she does anything, it's about her race, and it feels off to me. I'm pretty sure the creator's white too. Like, it'll literally, like, she'll, like, take a step, and it's like she took a step with pride of her heritage, and it's like, that's a little weird. This isn't a horror movie, and we're not little kids. I know, but it's the thought of it. Can you imagine? Aspen bit her lower lip. She's like, damn, Shuddy. No, she's not. She didn't need to imagine. She had already seen Miss Leigh's body. Pippa hadn't. Maybe that was why she sounded so gleeful about the whole sorry affair. Your house looks so run down, too. Yeah, red flag. For real. The garden's a mess, and the windows are all boarded up. Trust me, you will all hate Pippa. I guess nobody's moved in yet? Yeah, obviously. I don't think anybody would want to. It'd be quite a hard sell for even the most charismatic of real estate agents. And here we have the kitchen. It's located near the back of the house, away from the road. It's got windows looking out into the garden, a refrigerator, a washing machine, and an oven. And if you look to your right, that's where the previous occupant was found, stone cold dead at the breakfast table. Really makes you think about the briefness of life, doesn't it? It's a short candle. Bestie! You know, in most houses, someone's probably died, right? That's not an uncommon occurrence. So the months went by, and nobody moved into Miss Leigh's house. Except the squatters. Squatters broke in through the windows. Disrespectful little shits. They probably stole most of the stuff inside their house. None of Miss Leigh's possessions had been moved. She had no relatives to collect them, and she hadn't left a will. Squatters banged about in Miss Leigh's home until the early hours of the morning, and made such a racket Aspen's mother complained to the local council. You're telling me she knew people were stealing from a dead old woman's house, and she only complained when it affected her? This game makes me hate people. The council got the house boarded up, that was about it. Whatever remained of Miss Leigh's belongings, her lavender stuffed cushions and her little china figures and floral rugs that smelled strangely musky, were still shut up inside, waiting for an owner who would never return. Garden, which had brought Miss Leigh such joy, was now deader than ever, if such a thing was possible. The weeds had overrun the snapdragons and stifled the marigolds, and the roses were more holes than flowers. Despite that, life continued on. Continued on for girls like Lockie and Pippa, at least, who were completely divorced from the memory of Miss Leigh's sightless eyes and twisted mouth. But it didn't for Aspen. Not properly. How could it when, whenever Aspen closed her eyes, she saw the image of Miss Leigh's dead body beneath her lids, like a grotesque tattoo? Oh yeah, trigger warning for discussions of death. I think that's about it. There's some minor sexual discussions, but I'm gonna be skipping past them. Pippa leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. And what was it like, seeing it? How did it make you feel? I almost said trigger warning, gay people. That's not a trigger. Lockie, who had to stay now to a fine art, wrinkled her nose. I bet it was disgusting. Look, you guys. Aspen shifted on the edge of her bed, fingers locked together. Her bare right foot twitched against the carpet. You guys are making her uncomfortable. You better stop. I don't want to talk about it. Why not? We're your friends, aren't we? Shut the fuck up, Pippa. I hate your guts. We are friends, but... You don't need to tell anybody else, but you can tell us. Scout's honor. No, she's uncomfortable. Stop. You've never once been a scout. That's your issue here? It's a figure of speech. Well, I can't really remember. It was more than 5 months ago. Liar. You guys suck. What? People don't just forget things like that. Gay people! If you don't like gay people, just don't show up. I'm extremely gay. At least, I wouldn't. Don't act like you're so high and mighty, Lockie. You're at the sleepover, too. Too bad we're all not geniuses like you, Lockie. I'm not a genius. I just bothered to study for my exams. Unlike a certain somebody. Oh, get you. You're so la-di-da. Sometimes I remember they're British. And I don't like that. Get you, governor. It was dark outside, beyond Aspen's drawn curtains, and the 3 girls were sitting on the edge of Aspen's bed in their pajamas. What? Do they spell pajamas like that in the UK? While Aspen and Pippa were dressed demurely, Lockie was attired in something a little more revealing. Lockie's nightwear, that could be called as such, was a very sheer nightgown with thin straps that shone pearl white beneath the dim glow of Aspen's bedside lamp. I don't know why it takes me so long to realize that people are British when I hear them speaking. Me too! I honestly just think it's a bit, and then I realize, wait, it's not a bit, you just actually talk like that. Aspen wondered if it wasn't too cold in Scarborough, which was by the seafront, to wear such skimpy clothes. Can you stop judging everyone, please? If she wants to dress skimpy, let her dress skimpy. Like, I don't know why, but my brain just automatically assumes everyone is American. Me too, bestie. But perhaps Lockie's body was still attuned to the warmth of Indian summers. Despite the fact her parents moved to England when she was still a child. Yeah, that's the thing. Her parents moved to England when she was like 8. Yet, whenever she does anything, it's like she does this because she's Indian. And I'm like, I don't know about that, bestie. It wasn't yet midnight, and the 3 girls wouldn't be going to sleep for several more hours. That was how sleepovers worked. There was rarely, if any, sleep involved. But Lockie had insisted that they change their nightwear as soon as 10 o'clock came around. Lockie said she felt more comfortable in her pajamas. Why do they spell pajamas like that? But Aspen privately thought she wanted to show off her new nightgown. Almost all of Lockie's things were new. Her family was rich, and she had no qualms about flaunting it. Lockie flaunted quite a lot, though Aspen, as she surreptitiously, I don't think that's how you say it, but I'm going to say it like that, surreptitiously admired her friend's slender legs. Come on, Aspen. Pippa, Aspen's more stereotypical British friend, oh yeah, she's British, who had perpetually flushed cheeks and ginger hair, pouted. What do British people sound like? Wait, governor. We've been really nice to you about this whole thing. I mean, we didn't get on your case too much when we found about that old lady, did we, governor? Innit, governor? Maybe not, but everyone else did. Only Pippa's gonna be British. Aspen hung her head. Her dark hair fell in front of her eyes, obscuring her face. Can you guys leave her alone? That was traumatizing. Don't make someone talk about their trauma. After Aspen found the body of her slave, she became something of a... Oh, I already explained this, guys, to you. She got really popular when she found the body because everyone wanted to know what it was like. It was really traumatizing for her. We'll do a bit of skipping. Ba-ba-ba. 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 Won't you tell us what she looked like, governor? I want to know. I don't want to think about it. Bloody hell, but if you don't tell us in it, I'll spend the whole night thinking about it, and then I won't get any sleep, governor. It's the uncertainty that kills me. Aspen didn't reply. Instead, she ducked her head, idly tracing patterns on her bedspread. To Aspen, it was the certainty that really unsettled her. She could try and explain it, but somehow she didn't think Pippa would understand. Yeah, because Pippa's a bitch. It was a little like the Thestrals in Harry Potter. I've never read Harry Potter. Aspen mused. She had taken great comfort in her favorite childhood books after finding Miss Lay's body. Death only made sense to people unfortunate enough to see it, while those who had it never hoped to understand how frighteningly real it was. True. Boy, Governor, you're no fun, Governor. Pippa pouted and folded her arms, as if talking about a dead woman could ever be fun. And by remaining silent, Aspen had coolly robbed her a diverting amusement. I'm sorry. Aspen, don't apologize, girlie. Apologize for being a bitch, not for not telling your friends your trauma. Aspen apologized, her head bowed, because she didn't know what else to say. What was there to say? Well, it's only 11. We need to do something fun to pass the time. Pippa pondered for a few moments, tapping a finger against her lower lip before. Her eyes lit up. Maybe we should play a game, Governor. I don't want to play any of your silly games. I could chip a nail. It won't be a silly game, Governor. It'll be really mature, I promise. Since Aspen's parents aren't here, we can really go all out. What do you mean, exactly? Imagine she's just like, we should kiss. I mean... Pippa drummed her fingers against the bedside table, perhaps in an attempt to build anticipation. We should play Truth or Dare. Aspen felt her stomach sinking through her body to the bottom of her feet and all the way down to the floor. All of a sudden, she felt sick. Yeah, you're gonna learn why I hate Pippa. Aspen had played Truth or Dare with Pippa during their sleepovers before, and Aspen still bore the scars to that day. Pippa's imagination was inexhaustible, and it never failed to conjure up disgusting dares and excruciating truths. Once, Pippa had made Aspen eat a worm. I had that habit to be too. Fuck bullies. Another time, Pippa made Aspen climb inside the washing machine. When Aspen's mother had found her, she'd almost hit the roof. She'd shouted at Pippa, who had been 6-year-old at the time, phoned her mother to come pick her up immediately. If her mother had been there now, she never would have let Pippa play such a dangerous game. But Aspen's mother wasn't there. Neither was her father. Aspen's parents were away on a cruise around the Mediterranean. The cruise had been booked almost a year in advance, and the tickets were hard to come by. Penny and James had offered to cancel when their daughter found Miss Leigh, of course. They worried that being all alone in the house next to the sealed-off mortuary where Miss Leigh's corpse had been might disturb their only daughter. Aspen, however, had reassured them that she would be all right. In fact, she'd insisted that they go. She wasn't a child. She was almost 17. You're still a child. She could look after herself. If she ever felt overwhelmed by the sheer presence of Miss Leigh's memory, she could invite Pippi and Lockie over, who are shitty friends. And her mother liked Lockie. She thought she was sensible. She's really not. When it came to Pippa, she was a little less keen. Unfortunately, inviting Pippa and Lockie over seemed to be doing more harm to Aspen's tenuous mental state than good. Aspen was beginning to wonder whether she might have been better off alone after all, with nothing but her memories for company. At least they couldn't ask too many probing questions. Your friends suck. Or make her climb into any washing machines. This Truth or Dare. Lockie, who'd met Pippa and Aspen in secondary school and didn't know anything about the washing machine incident, frowned. What is it exactly? It's simple, Governor. The player gets to be in charge of the other two. The leader asks the other Truth or Dare. If they pick truth, they have to answer any questions they're asked truthfully. Or they can pick dare. Then the leader can give them a command, and they have to fulfill it. It's like the law. Can the leader pick any truth and any dare? That's right. Within reason. I see. Interesting. Aspen looked at Lockie hopefully. She prayed that her friend would look down her nose at this proposed party game, as she did with so many things, and deride it being beneath her. Your friends suck, man. Well, I suppose it isn't too childish if you ask the right questions. I didn't mean to make her British, but she's British now too. Aspen's face blanched. Lockie had let her down, and she didn't even seem to realize it. You've never played Truth or Dare with Pippa before, have you? No, I haven't. Why? Is there something I need to know? Yes. Just, her dares can be quite creative. What? You still sore about the washing machine thing, Governor? Aspen wasn't literally sore about it now, but she had been at the time. Though her parents had quite a large, fancy washing machine, it had been a gift from Jane's father. It made for trousers and jumpers, not 6-year-old girls. Aspen had always been short and slight, but climbing into that washing machine had been quite a squeeze. She'd been terrified she wouldn't be able to, okay, we get it, we don't like the washing machine, we get it, that sucks. What washing machine thing? It's a long story. Don't get bent out of shape about it, Governor. It was years ago. I'm not that immature, mate. You kept making little balls with soldering iron and tech last term and clicking them at Colin with your ruler. What does that have to do with anything? Huh? Well, he deserved it, Governor. He kept making fun of my hair. Miss Langley wasn't very happy when he found about it. Mr. Langley, what does that have to do with anything that's going on? Mr. Langley isn't happy about anything. Stupid old git. Pippa huffed at the injustice of it all, arms folded. Pippa was something of a wild child, I could tell, but she wasn't coercing 6-year-olds into washing machines. Granted, that had only happened once. She was getting into arguments with Colin Murphy and his friends about her hair. Aspen sometimes wondered if Pippa would have been less fiery if she didn't get teased about her hair so often. Maybe Pippa acted loud and brash to deter people from making rude comments. Not that it ever worked. If anything, it made her even more of a target. That reminds me of a TikTok I saw that was very true, that was like, short people, we don't make fun of you because you're short, we make fun of you because how you react when we say you're short. Anyways, enough about that. Pippa clapped her hands together. Truth or dare, let's start. Do we have to? Of course we have to, Governor. I've already decided. I like how no one cares about Aspen's opinion. Great friends. We have? Aspen looked at Lockie. Do you really want to play? Oh, she's giving a cry for help. Why not? Might be interesting. Fuck you, Lockie. But don't look so sad, Aspen. I'm not going to make you get into any more washing machines. I don't even know what accent I'm doing anymore. That hadn't deterred Pippa in the past, but Aspen decided to keep shtum. It was 2 against 1. She couldn't win. Aspen had very few friends as it was. She didn't need to alienate the only friends she had somehow, miraculously, managed to cling to throughout secondary school, strange though they were. They suck! They suck! Like them! Oh, alright. We can play if you really want to. Great! I knew you'd see it my way. Our way. That's right. So... Pippa smiled mischievously. Aspen didn't like that smile. She didn't like it one bit. Since I'm the one who decided on the game, I think I should go first. Any objections? None here. I guess not. Great. Then I'll ask you first, Lockie, since you've never played before. Truth or dare? Truth. Lockie answered without batting an eyelid. She looked utterly... Okay, so I'm gonna skip this part, but basically Pippa asked her a very sensual and uncomfortable question, and she answers the question, and yet again her answer has to do with her being from India, which is shady to me, but anyways. And also, well, no, that's some really important information. Okay, we've skipped past it. Everyone's still here? Everyone's still with me? Alright, Governor. Whatever. It's your turn now, Governor. Truth or dare? Well, Aspen dropped her gaze to her knees. Her face was still spotted light pink with remnants of leftover embarrassment on Lockie's behalf. She could have chosen truth, she supposed. But what if Pippa asked her an unpleasant, intrusive question? Her friend suck. The thought was painful. Would it perhaps be better to choose dare then? I don't think it would. Pippa could think of some extremely nasty dares, but weren't they a little too old to eat worms? Plus, as Pippa had... Excuse me again. Excuse me, sorry, I think I'm allergic to Pippa and British people. Aspen really was too big to fit inside. Excuse me, oh my lord. Aspen really was too big to fit inside the washing machine now. Come on, Aspen. Clock is ticking. Is there a time limit? Might have to impose one if Aspen keeps dithering. Dithering, I love British people. If you can't make up your mind, I'll punish you. What kind of game are we playing? What kind of game are we playing today? I remember at this part I had to check the rating. Now, I wonder what I'll do. Aspen's pinched pale face turned paler still. If Pippa intended to punish her regardless of what she did, she might as well make her decision now and get it over with. I swear it's not as bad as it sounds. And so it was, her stomach tying itself in the knots that Aspen slowly said. Then I choose there. All right, Governor. Now that's what I'm talking about. Pippa punched her fist in the air triumphantly. Lockie, meanwhile, raised one of her slender brown eyebrows. That was brave of you. Oh yeah, also, it's constantly talking about how, attractive Lockie is, and it's weird to me that the only person of color in this entire game, her thing, is that she's, very, sexy, odd choice. I just hope it wasn't too foolish. Don't worry, Aspen. I know you're a baby, so I won't go too hard on you. What is this accent becoming? I'll make it easy, Governor. Don't make it too easy. Wouldn't be fair after what you asked me. Lucky, whose side are you on anyways? I don't take sides. That would be immature. Can you shut up? Oh, don't worry, you two. I have a really good idea for your dare, Aspen. You're not gonna shut me up inside more small and close spaces, are you? I'd studied the cask of Amontillado in English that year. I can't speak English, and Aspen didn't want Pippa getting any ideas. Don't worry so much, Governor. Might be planning to shut you up, but it won't be anywhere small or enclosed. What does that mean? Where, then? Can't you guess? I'm not very good at guessing games. This is where this game gets worse. Please, Pippa, just tell me. Christ! You don't have any information, do you, Governor? All right, then. An unpleasant smile captured the corner of Pippa's lips. Thank you so much for the follow, Polly. Welcome. You're now officially a dearie. So she's literally asking her, remember, this girl is a teenage girl who saw a dead body and was traumatized by it, and her friends are pressuring her into going into the house where she saw it. This is so stupid. Lucky tutted, her slender arms crossed over her chest. It was near the end of August, and though it was a cool night, it wasn't uncomfortably so. Lucky stood outside of Miss Lay's home, backlit by the garish orange light of the nearby lamppost, and sighed. She was still wearing her sheer nightgown with the thin straps. The nightgown stopped at Lockie's mid-thigh, exposing her knees and a generous portion of her slender leg. Can we stop talking about this teenage girl's legs? It's a little weird. Though her otherwise bare feet were encased in her white wedge heels, the rest of Lockie was exposed to the elements. The wind ran through her short brown hair, so it fluttered. In the midnight streets, bathed with artificial light and framed by the round moon, Lockie looked strangely ghostly. Red flag, for real, for real! Pippa, meanwhile, was much more corporeal. With her pink cheeks and her red hair, she was comfortably solid and real in this dark, dark night. But just how comforting was Pippa really, when it was through her continued insistence that the three gals had come outside in the first place? They were the only people outside, which was to be expected. It was almost midnight. Let's traumatize our friend. Yay! Aspen lived on a quiet street, and it had been growing quieter still once the doors and the windows of Miss Lay's house had been boarded up and the squatters had been driven out. It was deathly silence, save for the sound of the wind through the trees and the distant din of a calling bird. The silence did little to comfort Aspen. Instead, it made her feel more anxious. Surely it was too late to play silly games like this. If their mother had been at home, she never would have allowed Aspen to go outside at such an hour. Good. But her mother wasn't home. She was on a boat that was slowly cruising through the Mediterranean, doubtless enjoying weather that was a good deal warmer and sunnier than it was in Scarborough. Aspen swallowed. Her saliva tasted like ashes. Lockie's right. This is stupid. Let's go back inside, Pippa. You can't go back inside now, Governor. Not when we came all the way. When someone says no, that means no. You're going to do the dare, Aspen, and that's final, Governor. But the windows are all boarded up, and so's the front door. There's no way inside. Then let's go around the back, Governor. There must be somewhere you can get in. But Aspen didn't have enough time to argue back. Pippa seized hold of Aspen's hand with her own. A few minutes ago, Aspen had found the unquestionable corporality of Pippa's body a comfort. Now it was more like a curse. Pippa dragged Aspen around to the rear of Miss Lay's house, pushing open a small wooden gate that divided the front garden from the back. The gate was unlocked. It opened with a piercing creak that sounded far too loud in the stillness of the night. Aspen's heart pounded harder and harder. I didn't mean to click save, but we'll save. Now the three were standing in Miss Lay's back garden, or what had once been the back garden. Aspen had been there herself on a few occasions, when Miss Lay had been alive. When it was sunny, the pair of them would sometimes take tea there, at the white patio table with matching chairs, friggin' British people. The table was still in Miss Lay's garden, so was one of the chairs. The other was curiously absent. The moonlight illuminated the latticework pattern of the once familiar table, now rendered unfamiliar by the darkness. If the front garden was overgrown, that was nothing compared to the back. During the last 6 months, dandelions and white clovers had sprouted everywhere. The grass had grown long and unruly, with nettles nestled inside, ready to sting unsuspecting legs. Miss Lay's old pear trees, she had loved the distraction, Ivor had planted them, seemed more crooked than ever before. But maybe that was a trick of the light. I'm gonna skip ahead a bit. I get it's for but yeah. But basically, Pippa's saying break in through the window, and she's talking about how shitty the garden is. Oh, she said, that spot, that's where I found Miss Lay, so I don't want to get inside. And Pippa's smiling mischievously. Yes, bestie, traumatize your friends. You're not afraid you'll run into the old woman's ghost, are you, Governor? I don't believe in ghosts. Then what's the problem? The problem is she saw that dead body! You can go in there for a few measly minutes, can't you? Shut the fuck up. But it wasn't the ghost Aspen was afraid of. It was her own memories, obviously. They were already starting to come back to her. But Aspen knew they'd never really left. Oh my god. Even now, her dreams were interrupted by the images of Miss Lay, slumped back in that chair with her eyes full black and her mouth sagging open. How could she explain that to Pippa? Pippa had never seen a dead body. She wouldn't understand. Pippa was too dynamic, too lively, too cheerful, too oblivious to ever worry that one day she would shuffle off this mortal coil. I can say I am lively, cheerful, oblivious, and dynamic, and I am still not a bitch. You can sympathize with people without having gone through it yourself. It's called sympathy or empathy, I forget which one. It happened to the best of us, the worst of us. It happened to everyone. Even sweet old ladies like Miss Lay, who might have been a bit creepy, can you stop being mean to this old woman, but who'd never meant anything bad. But Lockie was beginning to get impatient. She glanced around Miss Lay's disorderly garden and found, I'm getting not patient because I want lesbians. I signed up for lesbians, and what do I get? I get bullying a traumatized girl. If you're going to go inside, Aspen, you should hurry up. Oh, Governor, are you getting cold, Lockie? Not really. Lockie, who never admitted to any weakness, rolled her eyes. I'm just bored. Same here, Governor. Get your act together, Aspen. You're being bored. Pippa. Dude. Aspen looked at her friends, who didn't seem very friendly right now. Those are not your friends, with hopeful eyes. Can I change my mind? Can I say truth instead? Nope, that's against the rules. Y'all are making her uncomfortable. Maybe change the rules. Then I'll let you punish me. You can do whatever you want. Whatever I want, Governor? That's right. Then your punishment is to go inside Miss Lay's house. Dude! Again, you're making her uncomfortable. You're putting her through her trauma again. What is wrong with you? But that's not fair. You're gonna give this girl a panic attack. It's not fair to say. It's not fair that you're making us wait for so long. commit a hate crime. I have better things to do with my time. What? But... Come on, Aspen. It's just an old house. There's nothing to be scared of. She went through trauma in that house. You only need to go inside for a few minutes. That's all. Guys, Lockie made it sound so easy, but Lockie, like Pippa, had never seen a dead body. You really don't need to see a dead body to be a basic human being. I'm gonna skip ahead a little bit, but basically, she pushes her through the window, and she crashes in and hits her head. So Pippa pushes Aspen. I just can't deal with their shittiness anymore. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so now she's in. She looked down into the kitchen, which was dark and murky. With her back obscuring the moon, it was hard to see more than 3 feet into the room before her. Aspen teetered uneasily and shifted, trying to regain her balance. I'm not sure about this. Oh, come on, Aspen. You're almost in. I know, but... No buts. It's too late to back out now, Governor. But... you can't go inside yourself. I'll have to help you. All of a sudden, Pippa was upon her. Her pajamas sleeves rolled back, revealing pink forearms, splashed here and there with freckles. The palms of Pippa's hands rested upon Aspen's shoulders. Now, in you go, tut, Governor. But Pippa, you don't need to worry about anything. Lockie and I will be waiting for you. We already said, fuck you two. Isn't that right, Lockie? Break a leg. Not literally. Thanks for the warning. And make sure you don't run into any ghosts. Fuck you. Aspen knew Pippa was being silly. She tried to lighten the mood, but it didn't make her feel any better. At least it didn't make her feel worse. Hey, here's an idea. If you do see a ghost, why don't you take a photo of it, Governor? You've got your phone with you, right? It's in my pocket, but... Good. Then make sure you snap away. Tut. I doubt you'll see any ghosts, but I am rather curious about that house. I wonder how many of the old woman's things are still in there. Oh no, Governor. I figured the squatters would have stolen most of it. Aspen gazed fitfully into the blackness that had once been Miss Lay's kitchen. It was in this bit. I'm gonna skip ahead a bit. Is there a skip button? Nope. Oh yeah, she told her to take a picture to prove that she stayed inside. No. Okay, we don't care. With a wide-eyed, surprised shriek, ah! Aspen felt herself falling forwards. Pippa pushed her. Her chest hit the taps beneath the window as she fell, and then her back met the floor with a sick, dull crack. Aspen lay there for a few minutes, winded, staring at the ceiling. Her vision was blurry and it hurt to breathe. Her chest hurt horribly. For a few seconds, she'd worried she'd cracked some of her ribs, but if that was the case, wouldn't breathing in be much more painful? She was being ridiculous. You're gaslighting yourself, Bessie. Aspen knew she hadn't caused herself any serious damage, but says who? Oh? When she shifted, she heard the floor creak beneath her. She could feel something cold and hard beneath her back, her exposed thighs, and the flats of her palms. The underside of her right arm felt strangely warm and wet. Are you bleeding? What was that exactly? Dazed, as though in a trance, the teenage girl raised her hand before her face. She turned it over, studying it like an exhibition in a museum. It was bleeding, I called it. There was a small gash in the center of her palm, and a trickle of strawberry red blood was oozing out of it. How had that happened? You got pushed through a window. Maybe it was the glass. Now Aspen thought about it, that was the most likely explanation. She must have landed on bits of the long broken window, which were still scattered around the sink and on the ground. Aspen? Hey, Aspen? Aspen could hear a voice from beyond the window. It was obviously Pippa, though she sounded more high-pitched than usual. Aspen, are you alright? Say something. Aspen remained silent. Good. She knew it was cruel of her. No, it's not. The panic note in Pippa's voice made her feel somewhat satisfied. Good. Consequences for her actions. It almost made her aching head and bruised ribs and bloody palm worthwhile. Almost. Aspen, this isn't a joke, is it? Aspen continued to lie on the floor, staring up at the ceiling. She counted sheep inside her head, trying to take her mind off the pain. Come on, Aspen, answer me. I know you're okay. But Aspen didn't reply. She'd been dragged around too much that night. She was so tired of it all. I understand that feeling. She was tired of Pippa. She was tired of Pippa's silly games. She was tired of herself being such a doormat. She was tired of everything. Maybe she hit her head or something. You don't think she passed out, do you? Well, I don't know. I'm not the one who pushed her. But you didn't stop me, Governor. Oh my God, she won't take the blame for anything. You said you wanted to see inside of that house too, Governor. She said you need to take some responsibility for your own actions, and she said that's not fair. See, I want to continue to get to the lesbians, but I think also we need a mental health break. Let's take a mental health break. What should we do? We will... I can't find a good mental health break. But with a groan, Aspen forced herself to stand. She had to move gingerly so she didn't lacerate herself on any more shards of glass. She was lucky, she knew, that her palm was the only part of her body she'd cut. Aspen's head felt a little light, and she staggered when she pulled herself upright. Her legs threatened to buckle beneath her, but she supported herself by gripping the basin of the sink with her fingers. Her palm, which was still bleeding, left a red, bloody streak against the malted syringe. Model? I don't know. Calm down, you two. I'm fine. Aspen, are you really all right? No, she's bleeding. Yeah, I just had a bit of an assy fall. Well, thank God for that. Why didn't you say anything sooner, you dozy girl? Shut the... My head hurts. Hurry up and get out there. Making me worry. I'm making you worry? You're the one who told me to come in here in the first place, damn right. Because it all seemed like a game when we were standing out in the garden. But it feels a bit too real now, and you need consequences for your actions. Ever, just get out of there, Aspen. You sound like my grandmother. Oh, lucky. You know what? We are just going to watch videos of silly British people. Here, we're just gonna watch silly British people because I cannot mentally stand this anymore.
I'm not here.
Wait, let me double check. Okay.
I'm not here.
We're just gonna watch videos of people falling down and being British, because I cannot mentally. This is not cheering me up. Please, Betsy, cheer me up, please. Please, British people, please. I know what can help. Yeah, it's gonna be okay. What? It's Tuesday, innit? I'm happy now. Everything's gonna be okay. Okay, mental health break over. Back into hell. But Bucky clicked her tongue. Since Aspen's in there already, we might as well ask her to take a few photographs. Didn't you want to see what the house looks like? Tuesday. I do, but it's Tuesday. Aspen searched in the pocket of her shorts for her mobile, but her fingers brushed against nothing but fabric. At least they're British. She blinked. She looked down at her feet, a sinking feeling inside her chest. There was her phone, lying amongst the shards of glass in the shattered window. Much like the window, her old phone, which had lasted for so many years, was broken. There was a spiderweb of cracks running along the screen from where it had been blocked, and its silver casing was scuffed and dented. Hesitantly, Aspen bent down to retrieve it. She tried to turn the phone on, her fingers slippery with blood, but nothing happened. It's dead. Your phone. It fell out of my pocket. I think I landed on it. Well, that's all we need. It's your fault. Good job, Pippa. It's my fault. Sure. Oh my god, I'm gonna skip ahead because I can't deal with Pippa anymore. Okay, she was about to leave, but then she hears a voice. Are you going already? The voice was soft and distinctly feminine. There was something light lilting about it, still the speaker was half speaking, half singing. There was nothing inherently malicious about those words, but Aspen felt a shiver run up her spine all the same. No, don't look so anxious. I don't mean you any harm. It just gets so boring sometimes, being on my own so often. This is the most fun I've had in a while. Hey, Governor, what are you waiting for? I told you to get back here. It seemed like Pippa couldn't hear the mysterious speaker. I theory that the girl who we're about to meet is the ghost of the dead old woman or the ghost of the dead old woman's daughter, something like that. She, Aspen was sure it was a she, was talking so softly her voice could only reach Aspen's ears. But why? Who possessed that soft, feminine voice? Imagine it's literally me, just like a picture of Ryan. I'm just in that house for some reason. Who else was inside Miss Lay's house, and just how long had they been in there? It's been Governor? Come on, stop playing around. It's Tuesday. Aspen felt her heart stammering inside her chest like the stuck keys of a major typewriter. Part of her didn't want to know who the mysterious speaker was. Ignorance is bliss, after all. What would she do it? Upon turning around, she happened to spot something no mortal eyes should ever seen. A ghost? A phantom? Or maybe it was something she couldn't assign words to, not so arbitrarily. The sensible side of Aspen wanted to slip out through the window without looking back. So, you're just going to obey your friend? What is she, your keeper? Do you always let yourself be pushed around like that? But another, slightly less sensible part of Aspen knew she couldn't be so hasty. The girl, whoever she was talking to her. So far, this girl is the only one I like. She was addressing Aspen and Aspen alone. Aspen couldn't remember the last time that had ever happened. Nobody wanted to talk to Aspen. She'd become something of a celebrity after we know that, but the hype soon died down. There was nothing interesting or unique about Aspen herself, with her boring black hair and her dull brown eyes, damn right. People looked at Pippa because she was loud and noisy. People looked at Laffy because she was foreign and beautiful. I'm losing my mind. Can we not call people foreign? But nobody looked at Aspen. She was, and always had been, completely overshadowed. Not anymore. That was why Aspen turned around. And that was when she saw her. There was a girl lingering in the doorframe like a shadow. She must have been watching Aspen for some time, tucked just out of sight. Their eyes met, and the mysterious girl smiled. Hello, it's nice to meet you. Aspen didn't reply. She could only gawp, eyes wide, as the girl slipped out of her hiding place. With neat, nimble steps, just like a ballerina, the girl crossed the kitchen floor and took a seat atop Miss Lay's worn-out washing machine. See, I think she's a ghost. Now, we'll get an important detail soon. Aspen stared at her, insensible, her brow furrowed. What are you doing? Taking a seat. I thought it would be a nice place to examine the view. That's gay. What view? The girl giggled coyly and pointed towards Aspen, half her face still obscured by the shadows. Aspen felt color prickling her cheeks. Finally, some gay! She gestured towards herself, trembling. Me? The girl tilted her head to one side, amused. Now, what are you staring at? Did I do something funny? Trembling, Aspen took a step back and bumped into the sink. My, you're a bit of a clumsy one, aren't you? Aspen didn't say anything. She couldn't. She was too busy looking at the girl, though perhaps looking wasn't the right word. She's too pedestrian, and this creature sitting on top Miss Lay's old, distinctly mundane washing machine deserved more respect than that. Appraising, then. revering. Is that right? The girl had very long blonde hair which fell around her shoulders in a shroud. Her clothes were also pale, and they seemed to float about her hanging legs like the train of a bridal dress. Her eyes, framed by long and pale lashes, were watery blue. Though she was pretty, there was something disconcerting about her. Perhaps she was a little too perfect. Aspen wondered, as she were to cross to the other side of the room and lay her fingers against the girl's cheek, whether they would feel cold and hard like porcelain. Yes? What is it? Cat got your tongue. The girl's legs, hanging over the edge of the rusted old appliance, swung back and forth leisurely. Her shoes, which were black, unlike the rest of her outfit, hung from the tips of her toes, revealing the white underside of her stockings. This was where she differed from a doll. She was far too active, even in the act of mere sitting, to look quiet and peaceful. You're looking at me like you've seen a ghost. Haven't I? Well, I wonder. The girl glanced around the derelict kitchen, a small smile playing around her lips. This is where they found her body, isn't it? Aspen swallowed. She could feel her toes curling inside her trainers. She hadn't worn any socks. Bibba had been in too much of a hurry to chivvy her out of her house. I'm the one who found her body. Really? The girl raised an eyebrow. Lucky you. Must have been thrilling. Okay, never mind. I don't like her either. Frightening, more like it. And yet, despite that, you still came back? I didn't really have a choice. I didn't want to, but my friends. The ones yelling for you outside? That's right. They don't sound like friends to me. They're not that bad, really. I'm not so sure about that. I don't think I could forgive anyone if they forced me to come to a miserable place like this. Not even the Pope. But you're here all the same. That's because I wanted to come here. But why? Why not? I'm not the one who found the old woman's body. It doesn't really bother me. And it is interesting. Don't you think it's interesting? Personally, Aspen found the strange girl more interesting than Miss Lay's home. She'd been there enough times when Miss Lay was alive, and she'd had no desire to return now that the old woman was dead. The house was much the same as ever, just darker and sadder and emptier. Aspen decided to sidestep the question. Instead, she looked at the girl and said, Come here often, Shuddy? Almost every night. I've never seen you here before. Not that Aspen made a habit of entering Miss Lay's abandoned home. This was the first time in months. Would that be because some of us know how to make an entrance quietly? The girl grinned. You almost scared me out of my skin. You were lying on the floor for so long, I was worried you'd broken something. I was worried too. It's a good thing you're tougher than you look. The girl tittered, swinging her legs back and forth, and Aspen's face burned darker still. I'm surprised your friends didn't come in and help you. I don't need help, I'm fine. Besides, I don't want them worrying about me. Then can you really call them your friends? She's right. Yeah, I think they care about me. You keep telling yourself that, sweetie. Sweetie? Oh my god, the gays. I don't think they sound very friendly, but that's just my opinion, and nobody's ever cared about that. Huh? What makes you think that? Because it's true. Nobody listens to me. I'm listening. It's very kind of you, but... I don't even want to read their lines. They're just like, Aspen, what's going on? Oh my god, Aspen! Girl sighed and shook her head. I think your so-called friends are calling you. Right, you're right, but I was wondering something. What? I wanted to know, what's your name? This is where dots connect. The girl's brow furrowed. You don't know? Important detail, the lore guys, get on your little lore books, lore. Should I? The girl opened her mouth, ready to respond, but at the last minute she seemed to think better of it. She closed her mouth, her lips pursed together, and frowned. Then after a small pause, Althea. Now, let's go back a bit, guys. Let's go back a bit. So, the main character's name is Aspen, and Miss Lay had always called her Althea instead of Aspen. This girl's name is Althea, and it's hinted multiple times that she's a ghost, and when she asked her name, she said, "You don't already know my name?" I beg your pardon. That's my name, silly. You can call me Althea. Click the dots, guys, the lore. What in the world were you doing in there, Governor? Pippa rounded on Aspen the moment they returned to Aspen's bedroom. According to Aspen's digital clock, which sat on her bookshelf, it was 0:14, I don't know British time, past midnight. The expedition to Miss Lay's home, or had once been her home, Aspen's discovery of the strange girl that lurked within it, had transpired in less than half an hour. To Aspen, however, it felt like a small century had gone by. I wasn't doing anything in particular. Nothing in particular? Pippa raised an eyebrow. You were doing nothing in particular in that house for ages, Governor. You were in there for almost 10 minutes. It had only been 10 minutes? Aspen was sure she'd been inside Miss Lay's home for longer than that. Maybe she'd been so entranced by the mystery girl, time had slowed to a crawl. 10 minutes isn't that long. Maybe not, but it felt like forever. You're trying to make me feel guilty. She should. I wasn't. And that was true. Aspen really hadn't wanted to make Pippa feel bad. She wasn't that vindictive. Maybe you should be. However, Althea's words continued to weigh in her mind, though Althea herself was gone. Can you really call them your friends? All of a sudden, the gross unfairness of the situation impressed itself. New felt clarity upon Aspen's mind. Finally, it really wasn't fair, she thought, that Pippa was scolding her like an unruly child, especially when she'd only gone into that stupid house because she'd been bullied into it. So what if she'd scared Pippa? Pippa deserved to be scared, damn right. Maybe it would teach her a lesson. Not saying to scare your friends, don't do that, but yeah. Aspen drew in a breath, straightening her shoulders, and said with a newfound confidence, You know what, Pippa? What? Are you going to apologize, Governor? No, I'm not. I don't see why I should. If anybody should apologize, it's you. Huh? Pippa stared at Aspen as though she'd grown an extra head. What are you going on about? I mean, everything that happened tonight is your fault. I didn't even want to go in that house. I only did it because of you. You forced me into it. You pushed me through the window and I landed on a load of broken glass. I cut my hand and I broke my phone, and now you're acting like I'm the one in the wrong because you're scared you went too far. Well, I'm sick of it. I'm not going to apologize so you can stop feeling guilty. That's a powerful quote. I think you should feel guilty for once in your life. Maybe it'll help you grow up. Besides, Aspen gave Pippa the best withering look she could manage. Wasn't particularly effective. Aspen hadn't trained herself in the art of disdain, unlike Lockie, but it was a respectable first attempt. Truth or Dare is a stupid game. I don't want to play it with you ever again. Still haven't forgiven you for pushing me into the washing machine. You could have killed me. Get it, Queen, for real, for real. If I'd been a little unluckier, you could have finished me off today. Finally speaking up for herself, Aspen turned her back on Pippa, unscolded. She didn't want to look at Pippa, or Lockie for that matter. Neither did she want to listen to Pippa's angry, self-righteous spluttering, or half-hearted attempts to defend herself. We're not going to listen either. She'd had enough. She wasn't going to let Pippa push her around. They were both 16 now, for goodness sake. They were finished with secondary school, and they were going to start attending sixth form college, British people, in a couple of weeks. They were too old for all this nonsense. All of a sudden, Aspen felt incredibly tired. And that is sadly where I'm going to end it off, with her finally defending herself, because it's a little shred of hope in this hell of a game. Thank you guys so much for being here. We, of course, have to find someone to raid. Let's see who's on. We'll go with him. Okay, I can't spell. Please, work. Pork? I'm a dumbass. Oh shit, okay, never mind. Okay, let me find someone else then. Well, you should be okay. Go be as nice to him as you are to me. Bye-bye.